with regard to airline industry, I read the paper submitted to the committee, and it would be, and based on the document submitted, it would appear that the losses for the year for airline industries would be as much as 200 billion. Is that correct?
Senator Reva, good morning. This is Bobby Lim from ACA. This is the Air Carriers Association of the Philippines.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. What if, let me just give you the rough figures, what we had currently, in terms of first quarter performance, uh, we have, for the ACA carriers, we have a 5 billion peso loss based on the numbers that were garnered. Now, the loss obviously will accelerate because for the period April onwards, well, until today, there is absolutely no revenue generated by the local carriers. And any extension of the ECQ, of course, will further increase the losses. And if we are to move to a scenario where the restrictions are going to be relaxed, we feel there are still other challenges because the LGUs do their own risk assessment as to whether to open up their individual cities and municipalities to passenger flights. Ang nangyayari ho ngayon is we might be ready to fly to a secondary city like Tacloban or Zamboanga or Puerto Princesa because we know that the main provincial hubs of Cebu and Davao still have a high infection rate. But the problem with the secondary cities, and we can give the example of Puerto Princesa, the LGU feels that even with flights, they would not welcome passengers' arrivals because they do not have the public health infrastructure to contain any introduction of infection. So if we are to extend, therefore, the non-revenue of the domestic carriers and the very low revenue, assuming it happens in the latter part of the year, the losses will really be very, very large.
Mr. Lim, let me just clarify with Senator Recto. Is Mr. Lim addressing your question, sir? Or
Yes, but what are how many jobs do you have in the airline industry, domestic? One, and two, what will be the losses? What are the expected losses until the end of the year? How much are you talking about?
Uh, well, in terms of employees, if you just add the regular employees, that's about 25,000. But if you add the associated entities that support the airline industry,
Yes.
and including the travel, and the hotel, because they are all interlinked industries to aviation, considering that the movement of people in an archipelagic country like ours is dependent on air. It is estimated by IATA there will be about 500,000 jobs that are at stake. IATA naman has made a estimate that the loss for the year for the industry in the Philippines is about $4.9 billion.
So roughly $5 billion.
Yes.
So that's 200. That's more than 1% of GDP.
Yes, if it's
Dun po sa kwenta ni Mr. Lim na almost $5 billion na stimulus fund para sa air transport sector. What constitutes this quite large amount, no? Ito ba ay para sa assets sa airlines? Ito ba ay para sa pagbayad ng mga airport fees? Or kasama ba dito yung pag-retain at pag-compensate ng mga manggagawa sa airlines? Because if I remember correctly, from our partner, no, yung PALEA or the Philippine Airlines Employees Association, 40% nila ay na-lay off na mula nung nagsimula yung pandemic at saka quarantine. So Mr. Lim, if you could please just apprise the committee, kasama ba dito sa $5 billion yung pag-compensate at pag-retain ng inyong mga empleyado?
Well, Madam, the the estimate losses that was quoted earlier is based on the numbers that we have in the first quarter and the projected deterioration further of the losses. So, but in terms of support that the ACAP carriers have estimated that is needed, to maintain the employment pool of the aviation sector, because we expect to resume operation fully over time. And as we have said to the government, we are ready to fly again, of course, on a rolling gradual basis. But our estimate that we have also submitted to Congress is that wage subsidies of 1.3 billion per month is our estimate. No? 1.3 billion. This is the estimate submitted and consolidated coming from the carriers. Now, in terms of the other support, we pay about 500 million pesos to the aviation authorities monthly. That is to MIA, Mactan, Clark, and the provincial airports.
Can you repeat that again, Mr. Lim? How much are you paying and for what?
Five- yeah,
500.
500 million pesos per month, as an estimate, uh, to the civil aviation authorities consisting of MIA, CAAP, Mactan, Authority, Clark, and the provincial airports. And this would consist of navigational charges, landing takeoff. So that's the estimate. For wage subsidies that we have estimated 1.3 billion
1.3
per month.
billion.
Yes. And then we have requested also working capital of 6.8 billion for the carriers. So the total of that would be
Million.
8.6 billion per month.
For what? Is this again, sir? Six
This is
per month.
the support. Uh, these are the estimated requirements of the ACAP carriers, no, per month. Wage subsidy of 1.3 billion, working capital
Pesos.
pesos, yes. This working capital of 6.8 billion. Fees and charges paid to CAAP, MIA, Mactan, and SIAC, approximately 500 million pesos. The total of that is 8.6 billion pesos per month.